most people think heart attacks announce themselves. Chest pain, left arm going numb, a dramatic collapse. That's what the movies show. That's what most people expect. But after 60, the most dangerous cardiac events are the quiet ones. The ones that build slowly while you sleep. No warning, no time to call for help, no second chance. And here is what shocks most of my patients when I tell them this in the recovery room. Those events are almost always triggered by something ordinary, something completely unremarkable, something you did before turning off the light. I'm Dr. Kevin Owerwale. I'm a cardiac surgeon. I've spent over 20 years opening chests, repairing arteries, and holding hearts in my hands. I've also spent 20 years watching the same preventable patterns repeat themselves over and over in patients who had no idea what they were doing to themselves every single night. Tonight, I'm going to show you 5 of those patterns. 5 habits that are quietly loading the gun while you sleep. And then I'll show you exactly how to unload it, one simple evening at a time. Stay with me. What you learn in the next few minutes may be the most important thing you hear this year. Here's something most people don't know. Your cardiovascular system doesn't take a break when you fall asleep. It shifts gears. In a healthy body, nighttime is when your blood pressure naturally dips, usually 10 to 20% lower than during the day. Your heart rate slows, your arteries relax. It's a biological reset, a form of maintenance the body has been running for your entire life. But after 60, that system becomes less reliable. The blood vessels stiffen, the pressure regulation gets less precise. Certain hormonal signals that used to protect the heart at night, they start to weaken. And the margin for error gets much, much smaller. Think of it this way. During the day, your cardiovascular system has backup mechanisms. It can compensate. It can adapt. At night, many of those mechanisms are morning, peaks in the afternoon, dips at night. But a significant portion of people over 60, particularly those with hypertension, don't get that nighttime dip. Their pressure stays elevated or it actually surges during the early morning hours. This condition is called nocturnal hypertension and most people have never heard of it, and it is dangerous in ways that daytime high blood pressure is not. While you sleep, the arterial walls are not braced for impact. A pressure surge at 3 o'clock in the morning hits the arterial walls very differently than one at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's more likely to rupture a vulnerable plaque inside a coronary artery. More likely to trigger clot formation. More likely to send someone to my table. If you take your blood pressure medication only in the morning, it may wear off by the time you need it most. If you forget it entirely, you may be leaving yourself completely unprotected during the most vulnerable hours of the night. What should you do? Talk to your doctor specifically about timing. Ask whether your medication should be taken at night rather than in the morning. The conversation takes 2 minutes. It could save your life. There is strong evidence, including the hyacornotherapy trial, that evening dosing of blood pressure medication significantly reduces cardiovascular risk during sleep. That is not a minor adjustment. That is a potentially life-saving conversation to have. Don't assume the timing doesn't matter. In cardiology, timing can be the entire difference. And most patients over 60 have never once had this conversation with their doctor. I want you to think about someone you know who snores. A spouse, a parent, maybe yourself. That sound, that loud, irregular rumbling in the night. Most people treat it as an annoyance, something to laugh about, something to elbow your partner over. I treat it as a cardiac warning sign until proven otherwise. After 20 years in this field, I mean that literally. Sleep apnea is one of the. Your blood becomes more viscous, thicker. It doesn't flow as freely through your vessels. For a young cardiovascular system, that's a manageable inconvenience. For a person over 60 dealing with arterial stiffness and plaque, it's a very different story. Thick blood moves slowly through already narrowed arteries. It is more prone to forming clots. And here's the timing problem most people don't consider. During sleep, your heart rate naturally slows. Blood moves more slowly through the system anyway. Now, combine slow circulation with thicker blood in a body that has been lying still for 7 or 8 hours in arteries that may already be narrowed. That combination, dehydration, slow heart rate, reduced movement, and vessel disease is one of the reasons strokes and heart attacks cluster in the early morning hours. The fix here is genuinely simple. Drink a full glass of water before bed. Not a large amount, just 8 ounces. That's all it takes. Enough to ensure your blood isn't thickening unnecessarily while you sleep. Keep another glass on your nightstand for when you wake up. That moment of mild thirst at 2 in the morning. Your body is asking for something your heart also needs. You don't have to choose between sleep and cardiovascular protection. Here's one that surprises almost every patient I mention it to because it sounds almost too simple to matter. What temperature is your bedroom at night? Most people have never once thought about it in terms of heart health. They think about comfort. They think about personal preference. But there is a specific range that your cardiovascular system prefers. And outside of that range, your heart is quietly working harder than it should be. Let's start with too warm. When your bedroom is above about 22 degrees Celsius, roughly 72 F, your body works to dissipate heat throughout the night. Your blood vessels dilate. Your heart rate stays elevated. Sweating increases fluid loss, which brings us right back to the dehydration problem we just that formed overnight in a narrowed artery. I have spoken to families in waiting rooms at dawn. Families who had no idea anything was wrong when they said goodnight a few hours earlier. I have read autopsy reports on people who were planning their grandchildren's birthdays the week before. And in case after case, the contributing factors were not mysterious. They were a late dinner, a skip medication, a bedroom that was too warm, a body that was quietly running out of water, an airway that had been collapsing silently for years. While everyone assumed the snoring was just snoring. These are not exotic risk factors. They are not rare. They are the background noise of millions of ordinary evenings. And that background noise accumulated night after night, year after year, can become a cardiac event that nobody saw coming because nobody knew to look. Here is the truth that 20 years in the operating room has given me. Most of the hearts I've had to repair didn't fail because of bad luck. They failed because of bad information. Information the patient simply never had. You now have it. The question is what you do with it tonight. Not next week. Not after your next checkup. Tonight. Let's bring it all together. 5 habits, 5 fixes. I want you leaving with a clear action plan, not a vague sense of worry. 1. Finish your main meal by 6 or 7 in the evening. Not a radical diet, just a reasonable dinner at a reasonable hour. 2. Talk to your doctor about the timing of your blood pressure medication. Ask specifically about evening dosing. That single conversation could be the most important medical discussion you have this year. 3. If you snore, if you wake up exhausted, if anyone has ever told you that you stop breathing in your sleep, get evaluated for sleep apnea. This is not optional at 60 plus. It is part of taking your heart seriously. 4. Drink a glass of water before bed. Keep one on the nightstand. Do not let your blood thicken overnight because you wee.